What is going on, YouTubeverse? John Stanek from Johnny Radio here, bringing you another top 5. And guys, so excited. As I promised last week, I am updating my list of the top 5 most snubbed artists by the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And several of these have been on my list for years now. It's been a couple years since I've updated this, by the way, but I felt like I needed to, especially now that finally Joe Cocker is in, as we discussed on last week's episode, and Peter Frampton got in the year before that. So two of the artists who have been on my top 5 for a while now have finally dropped off. I think initially Tina Turner was on my list, so it's been a while that I've been discussing this every now and then, but I think now is a good time to add a few on, talk about some that are still ongoing, and man, I could do a top 20 honestly, because there's just so many artists that I may throw in some sidebars and talk about some other ones, but I think these are the top 5 that are most deserved at this moment in time. So let's get right to it. At number 5, Alice in Chains, another grunge behemoth from, I believe, their first album hit in 1990, Facelift. So they've been eligible for quite some time now. And now that Soundgarden is finally in, Alice in Chains needs to be in as well. I mean, come on, guys. Nirvana, Pearl Jam, of course, those were no-brainers. But then Soundgarden and Alice in Chains need to follow right behind because, man, if there was no Alice in Chains, there probably would be no Nirvana and Pearl Jam. It's that simple. The Seattle grunge scene, these guys, along with Soundgarden, were pioneers of the sound. So yeah, and on that note, I mean, there's many other artists from this kind of grunge or 90s alternative genre that have not made it in yet from that same era, like Smashing Pumpkins, Stone Temple Pilots, Beck. The list goes on and on. But Alice in Chains have got to be at the top of that conversation and need to get in ASAP. So that's my number 5. Now at number 4.
Strumming my pain with his fingers.
Roberta Flack. It was brought to my attention just recently that she is not already in. And this is one of those artists that you're like, how is she not already in? And now that she has passed away, rest in peace, we gotta honor Roberta Flack, man. I mean, this is long time coming type stuff. And, since we're talking about Joe Cocker here recently, who I consider to be kind of one of the greatest cover artists of all time, Roberta Flack, I think, falls into a similar category where most of her, at least biggest hits, were cover songs that she did from other writers. And I think she was, like Joe Cocker, one of the best in that game who truly elevated really every song that she did. I mean, just what a voice she had. And, Killing Me Softly with his song, just brilliant. Of course, that was later redone several times, most notably by the Fugees. The First Time Ever I Saw Your Face. I mean, just her first album, First Take alone is just brilliant. And while we're on the topic of female singers, I also recently learned that Ella Fitzgerald is not in. And I had to just make a comment on that because she would be like, if not in my top 5, a very close number 6 of like, how in the world is Ella Fitzgerald not in? Because let's face it, the Academy, if they want to be consistent, it's not like they don't have any jazz singers in there. Louis Armstrong is in there. Nina Simone is in there. So if you're going to start bringing these kind of singers into the mix, you got to have Ella Fitzgerald, man. What the heck? But yeah, for my money, Roberta Flack is just a little bit ahead of Ella, just in general for me. And that's why she's my number 4. So now at number 3. Nick Drake. I believe he was in my 3 spot the last time I did this list, and he's probably going to be there forever because, another one of these artists that just doesn't get the love. And, he didn't back when he was alive either, unfortunately. He didn't really become a household name. Well, he still really isn't to most people, but for musicians who know great musicians, Nick Drake, man, it was early 2000s before I even heard of him. And he had 3 amazing albums back to back from 1969 to 1972. Just Brighter Later, one of my favorites. Of course, many argue Pink Moon was his best, which as an album with just a man and an acoustic guitar, it's up there with some of the best. But yeah, songs like Northern Sky from Brighter Later are just one of the most majestic songs of all time. Just his voice, his guitar skills, his songwriting, just on another level, man. And yeah, he... again, it's another kind of subgenre of rock and roll, folk music, but man, there's so many folkies already in, and Nick Drake definitely deserves to be in there. So that's my number 3. Now at number 2.
Fly me to the moon, let me play.
Frank Sinatra. I mean, come on, man. I know this is the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but who was more rock and roll back in his era? If you know what I mean. I know rock and roll didn't exactly exist yet, but pre-rock and roll, Sinatra, man, was the top of the list. I mean, just incredible. And as far as just singers go, man, his voice, he could sing anything. I mean, hit after hit, Fly Me to the Moon, My Way, Come Fly With Me. Just one of the greatest artists of all time. And I know he was a little rough around the edges as a person and in his personal life, and probably rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, which is most likely why he's not in. But again, going back to jazz singers, I already mentioned Louis Armstrong, but Nat King Cole is already in. So if you're going to put Nat King Cole, Frank Sinatra, man, come on. What are you doing? All right, so that's my number 2. Now at number 1. John Coltrane. I've been talking about this forever. He's been number 1 on my list for a while now, and for a good reason, because my same argument about Sinatra and Roberta Flack and Ella Fitzgerald, yes, it's not exactly rock and roll, but look, a lot of hip hop artists have gotten in. They've definitely widened it as far as all different kinds of genres getting into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So that's, you can't make that argument anymore against it. And then if you got Miles Davis in there, and sure, he did branch a bit into the rock genre, he's Miles Davis and Coltrane are synonymous, neck and neck to me, as far as the greatest jazz artists of all time. And to me, Coltrane was just as rock and roll as Miles Davis was in his playing. Again, way before, even though, no, Coltrane, some of his best work was early 60s, you know what I mean? It's just, I don't know how some of these artists have been kicked to the curb for this long. Coltrane, Sinatra, Roberta Flack, Ella Fitzgerald, it's just blows my mind. There's plenty other artists who should have gotten their due. I know I've mentioned the Guess Who in the past. Iggy Pop is not in there. Of course, he's in with the Stooges, but not as a solo artist. King Crimson is not in, talking about older artists. So yeah, I could go on and on, but those are my top 5. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Let me know, when I start getting passionate about this topic, because it's you almost have a love-hate relationship with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, because it's just how are these guys in, but these are not in yet? So maybe the Rock Hall listens to me. I don't know. It's taken them a few years to get on board with, Joe Cocker and Peter Frampton and Tina Turner even, but Who knows? Maybe little by little they'll be hearing my shouts, and some of these others will make the list, and I won't be having to do these so often. But thank you guys so much for watching. We got more top 5s, album reviews, top 50s that are democratic, so join in on that fun. So much more. Thank you for watching, and as always,